On NFL Draft Day, can anyone challenge Trevor Lawrence as the best quarterback in this year's draft? Mac Jones or Trey Lance? Do the San Francisco 49ers finally have their minds made up at number 3? And which is a better option for the New England Patriots, Jimmy G or Justin Fields? Asking for a friend. Good Thursday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe alongside. Nick Wright is ready.
Big day.
Brandon Marshall obviously is ready. Kevin Wilds appears to be ready as well. Wilds, you must be ready for a wild ride tonight. Tons of rumors around the Patriots heading into this one.
Oh, Jimmy G, get your Jimmy G jerseys. They are not on sale yet. They're on sale in San Francisco. They're going to be extra priced in New England.
No, that one count.
Guys, we're finally here. 2021 draft all set for tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern, NFL Network. Storylines aplenty going into this one. We got 5 quarterbacks expected to go early. Jags and Jets appear set at 1 and 2, but after that, that is where it's going to be fun to watch it all unfold. Brandon Marshall, let's start right here. Which team do you think is facing the most pressure tonight in round 1?
San Francisco 49ers. A couple days ago, we listened to their press conference. It was around 33-minute press conference, and you felt the pressure in that press conference. John Lynch, Coach Kyle Shanahan, it was so uncomfortable. I mean, you give up so much to move up to 3 to get your guy, and we don't know who you're going to take. You're talking about Mac Jones. Now we're talking about Trey Lance. You got Justin Fields out there. This is a franchise-altering move. If you go up that high with a really good team, you have a really good team. And if you get a quarterback that can give you consistent play, you are back in the division as probably the clear-cut leader. You go back to last year, their record doesn't even show how good they was without Jimmy G or any quarterback. They lost most of their games they lost within like 3 or 4 points. So now you bring in a quarterback that can come in and be that joystick that Bucky Brooks always talks about. Wow, this team can be scary. So it's the pressure on this team, it's a lot, because you got to also think about what's going on in the division. The Seattle Seahawks, they didn't get worse. I don't know if they got better, but they didn't get worse, and they're a scary team. The Cardinals got better. The Rams got better. So the pressure's on the 49ers, Wilds.
Okay. I think the pressure's on the Jets. And Brandon, could you stay on the screen just because I want to talk to you directly? No, I'm just having an honest conversation in the morning with one of my friends. You know, people save up for a lot of things. Usually they're nice things. You save up for your child's college education so they can have a brighter future. Maybe you save up for an engagement ring to propose to that special someone. You know what you're saving up for, my friend? Despite the smile on your face, I think you're saving up I told you so's. I think you have a nice little account or maybe a safety deposit box with index cards saying, I told you so, Justin Fields. I told you so, Trey Lance. I told you so, and this one's in the back of the seat, Mac Jones. I think the Jets have the most pressure, Brandon, because you've tried to convince me that Zach Wilson is the pick. You finally come around, but I think you are waiting with bated breath. Come week 2 or 3, I think you'll give week 1 a pass, that you are going to be on this show and you're like, Wilds, you know what? I told you we should have gotten Justin Fields, and that's why I think the Jets have the most pressure tonight.
Listen, if you'd have asked me that a couple weeks ago, probably that was the answer. But I talk so much about Justin Fields that I haven't talked highly or enough about Zach Wilson. This kid can ball. Like, this is what Jay Cutler, his career is going to be what Jay Cutler's career was supposed to be. Like, he's that talented. He's that smart. I don't know what the heck happened with Jay Cutler, but we talking about the flair. We talk about the swagger. We talk about just making plays, you know, that's off schedule. Like, that's who Zach Wilson is. I know that's a terrible comparison. Like, Brandon, why'd you pick Jay Cutler? Well, damn, I had 17 quarterbacks, and he was probably one of the best quarterbacks. I made so much money with Jay Cutler, so I got to go with him. All right? But Zach Wilson will be fine if that's where they choose to go, Nick.
So here's the thing. I don't think it's the most pressures on the Niners or the Jets, but the Jets might actually, Wilds, be my last pick for pressure, because What's a good analogy here? Like how there is a lot of pressure on my older daughter when report cards get sent out because there are expectations she's going to do well. Let me tell you something about my son. Love him to death. He felt no pressure on report card day because there were no expectations. No one was like, oh, God, let's wait and see. It was like, let's just hope it's not a disaster, a total disaster. And that's the Jets fans. Jets fans are like, please, just not be a disaster. Like, can it just be okay? Like, we're fine. Can we just pass the class? So there's not pressure there. You know who does have pressure, though, Wilds? And I'm surprised you didn't say it. Your team. The Patriots. Because you look around the AFC East. You look around the AFC East, and sitting right there is Josh Allen, who's, some people think is very, very good. Soon to be sitting right there is Zach Wilson, who has been the clear-cut number 2 pick of this draft for the last 2 months. And then sitting right there is Tua, who I still believe in. He had a rough first year, but was a blue-chip prospect just a year ago. And the Patriots are sitting there. And I think they are going to be in a position tonight where if they want to, they can get Justin Fields. They're going to have to pay for it. It's not going to be cheap. But I also don't think they're going to have to pay through the nose like San Francisco did. They're not going to have to move up to 4 to get Justin Fields. They're probably going to have to move up to 8 or 9. And I do think, Wilds, there is massive pressure on the Patriots today to decide, do we want to go Cam and do nothing? I don't mean do nothing in the season. Just stand pat, go with Cam. Do we want to do a half measure, which is trade for Jimmy G, or do we want to do a full measure, which is try to go get our young star quarterback because the Bills have a young quarterback, the Jets are about to have a young quarterback, and the Dolphins have a young quarterback. So I think it's a ton of pressure on your team.
Okay, I think it's Jimmy G is going to be the answer, so I don't think we're going to make a move. If anybody makes a move, I think it's going to be the Bears trading up trying to get Justin Fields. And Jenna, there's 2 big breaking news stories tonight. It's going to be that the NFL draft is obviously happening, and Nick, fan of Josh Allen. Big news. I don't know if we should, preempt programming, but Nick now likes Josh Allen. He's like, oh, Josh Allen, the great Josh Allen.
Brandon, I said some people think he's great. I checked the tape. Yep. Brandon, I said some people think he's great. I am not necessarily including myself in that group of people, but go ahead, Brandon.
It's okay. The Bills have Josh Allen.
No.
Go, Brandon.
Right. Look, Jen, I just don't want to end this block with all the negativity surrounding my Jets. This is a big day for us. We're going to make a franchise-altering move tonight. We haven't had a champion since Joe Namath. We haven't had one. So listen, the Jets, there's going to be a lot of haters tonight. Block out the noise, make the right decision. Whether it's Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, it doesn't matter. We'll be fine. So I just want to leave this block with the positivity surrounding the Jets. Jets, Jets. Let's go, baby!
So close to putting a shoulder
pad. Can I just tell America, Brandon's okay. We promise you, Brandon's okay. And he's going to be okay even after the Jets make their selection, whatever the heck their selection's going to be.
Jenna has the green pin in her hand, too. I see it, the details.
You saw that, right? Yeah. It's subtle, but not so subtle. Let's play a little in or out. I want to ask you a question. There was a little news last night. Broncos dipping into the quarterback pool yesterday. They picked up Teddy Bridgewater from Carolina. So now what does Denver do? They got the 9th pick. Do they get a quarterback? I don't know. Brandon, you in or out on Denver still drafting a QB at 9 after acquiring Teddy for a 6th-round pick?
Well, I'm all in because I believe in Teddy Bridgewater, but I'm also all in on Teddy Bridgewater because, like I said weeks ago, he trains here at House of Athlete, and I don't want to get off of this set, walk out there in the weight room, and have to deal with him because we have First Things First blasted all over our Jumbotron in the weight room, and they watch it. So I don't want to deal with Teddy Bridgewater, so I'm all in.
All right, so for me personally, I'm out because I have a natural, what's the word? Hate for the Broncos, good sports hate, and I want Teddy to succeed. I want Teddy to do well, so I'm a little conflicted, but I really do appreciate John Elway continuing with half measures at quarterback. Drew Lock was 2nd-round pick. Osweiler was 2nd-round pick. We'll give you a 6th-rounder for Teddy Bridgewater. Do we want a franchise quarterback? Like, at some point, folks are going to have to ask the question, is John Elway just trying to protect his own quarterback statistical records? Like, God dog it, I'm going to be the franchise leader in everything. Like, and so I just wondered. So I wish Teddy the best, and I root for him. But I, as a Chiefs fan, like, all right, Broncos, yeah, that's right. Don't draft a quarterback. Nope, Teddy and Drew. Just go with that. I like it. Go ahead.
Oh my goodness.
Great take.
All right, well, Nick's got a point. Drew Lock
was
only
it?
8-10 as a starter in his young career, so it's exactly what Elway probably wants. Talk more about the draft on the other side. Which player drafted tonight will have the biggest impact on their new team? Find out next. First things first. Brandon's got us all fired up, donning his Jets jersey all morning. We're excited for tonight's draft and what his Jets are going to do. Let's make the call. Let's start with Trevor Lawrence, the consensus #1 pick, seen as a franchise changer for the Jags. We know the group of quarterbacks likely joining him near the top. Brandon, make the call. Who ultimately will be the best quarterback picked other than Trevor Lawrence?
Okay, other than Trevor Lawrence, let me see. Obviously, you guys know I love Justin Fields, but something happened the last couple days inside of me where, I feel like I got this one right, where, I believe I know the guy. The guy is Trey Lance. Like I had this guy here for a short period of time back in November, December, and there was something special about this kid. But I really didn't know much about him. But over the last couple months and going through this process and listening to people talk and connecting with him even more, man, this dude is special. I mean, from his smile, from his swagger, and then when you go on the field, how he throws the ball different angles. He's big, he's fast, he's smart. Like, this guy, I'm telling you, if he lands at #3 with the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, a couple years from now, we're going to be saying, wow, I don't know why they made this bet. They made the bet, and it paid off in a major way. This kid right here, Trey Lance, is the answer.
Yeah, I actually agree with Brandon. I think that he's got the most upside other than Lawrence. I think he's the biggest risk other than, like, take Lawrence out of it. Lawrence isn't really a risk, actually. But I think he's the biggest risk as well. But if you were to say to me, which of these quarterbacks other than Lawrence has the best chance of one day winning a league MVP, I'd also go with Trey Lance. So I'm going to co-sign that with Brandon Wilds.
Okay, triple co-sign Trey Lance for me, too. Here's why. We had Trey Lance on the show, and we tried our best to get a headline. When you have a draft prospect on, you want him to say something. On first things first, Trey Lance said he's better than Tom Brady. He didn't give us anything. It was a real Patriot-esque performance. We tried to trick him like, hey, you think it's unfair? People say you didn't only threw 15 passes last year. It's like, I'm trying my best. It was just a perfect performance. It showed sound strategy. He took no risks. Very smart, very savvy. So good job, Trey Lance. You didn't give us anything in an interview, but I think it helped your draft stock.
I think it's going to be awesome.
All right. Plenty of good receivers in this draft as well. Jalen Waddle, Jamar Chase, just to name a few. Brandon, make the call. Who will ultimately be the best skill position player drafted tonight?
I mean, hold on. Jenna, you're just going to name just two guys? You don't want to keep going and get to the actual right answer? The right answer is Devontae Smith. Come on, Jenna. He was the Heisman Trophy winner. 1,800 yards, 23 touchdowns in the SEC Power 5 school. That is the answer. Brandon, why are you going with him when there's so many great guys, even the names Jenna mentioned? Well, because I'm thinking about production. I'm thinking about a guy that can come in right away and just pro-ready. Like, this dude is going to be a shocker where he lands, and he's going to be high, but he's going to come in, and this dude's going to produce at a high level. You can put him in a slot. You're going to put him outside. He's going to find a way. I'm going with Devontae Smith. It's reminiscent of Marvin Harrison with a little bit more flair, a little bit more flash. Devontae Smith's the answer.
I thought you were going to say it's reminiscent of Marvin Hagler because pound for pound he might be the best, but I don't know if he's going to be the best overall. I'm going to go with the easy answer, Kyle Pitts. I just think Kyle Pitts is going to be a star. He said he's going to be the greatest tight end ever. I'll go with the giant, super strong, super fast freak. I'll go Kyle Pitts, Wilds.
Okay, I'm going with a running back. And I know running backs are the pleated pants of the NFL draft. Totally out of style, but primed for a comeback. Najee Harris, everybody's talking about Mac Jones. Everybody's talking about Jalen Waddle. Everyone's talking about Devontae Smith. What about our old friend Najee Harris? He's like, hello, I was the engine of this offense. Watch this play. Get out of here, number 8, and I'll add a little bonus. Right over you. Great job, Najee Harris. Running backs totally undervalued. Watch Najee Harris.
I love
great.
it. Old
Totally.
school.
That's
I
a
love
fourth
it.
down.
Not even
That's a big
disrespecting
the running back position.
You're right. All right, let's talk some defense now. Micah Parsons, dynamic linebacker, likely to be one of the first defensive players off the board tonight. But Brandon, make the call. Who will ultimately be the biggest steal of the draft?
Ooh, I mean, I've been saying this exact thing since December or maybe early January. Kellen Mond. Do you not hear me?
Yep, that's right.
Kellen Mond will be the steal of the draft, and he will move up or sneak into the first round. And I wanted to, the Pittsburgh Steelers going to take him. The Pittsburgh Steelers going to take Kellen Mond. It's going to be steal of the draft. He'll sit this year, play next year, and now you're going to say, wow, where did this kid come from? Turn on First Things First and listen, people.
So not quite as long as Brandon's been on Kellen Mond, I've been promoting this name. Gregory Rousseau. The guy is 6'7". He's played one full year of college football. In that year, only Chase Young had more sacks. He opted out last year. He's basically new to the position and dominated it. There is a lot of Javon Curse similarities in that he didn't play the position a long time. Physically, he's a marvel. I think he's going to be a late first-round pick, which will put him on a good team and be able to make an instant impact. So I say Gregory Rousseau.
He's a monster. Good answer.
Okay, I'm going to go with another running back. Javonte Williams, North Carolina running back. And I know a lot of drafts, scouts crush a lot of tape. You know what I do? I crush tape singular. Just one awesome play. That's all I need to see, and that was it right there. Crushing number, crushing. That's it. I don't need to watch hours of tape. I just need to watch one. He's 29 TDs. He's 5'9", 212. I like that. 5'9", 212. You can do things like this. Boom! Get out of here. Love it. Javonte Williams, North Carolina running back.
That, Kevin Wilds, is why you are not an official draft analyst. But what you are great is finding weird and wonderful from the world of baseball.
Wow.
Check this out.
Fired.
Fernando Tatis. I know, I'm just all over the place. Look, he thought he went yard, but no, says Josh Rojas. No, my friend. And he brought it back. That is wonderful. But KW, what else was wonderful and weird last night?
Oh, the world of the national pastime continues to deliver wonderful things to us. Anthony Rizzo is not a pitcher, strikes out Freddie Freeman. Here's the great thing about baseball. At this time, the score is 10-0, and the Cubs fans are loving it. Everyone's having a ball. The players are loving it. It's a blowout. I think the other leagues need to do something like, hey, we're getting blown out. Who wants a fan to play or something? Because it's super interesting when teams are getting blown out and they start moving things around. Moving on to the, yeah, they're loving it. This is great. We're losing 10-0. Joe Girardi, this is a good strategy if you're the Phillies manager. Before the umpire can throw you out, you throw him out. It's like if you're going to get fired at a job. You're like, I'm fired.
Yes,
you're fired,
Joe.
buddy. Like, you didn't have that? Like, I don't know. Report to HR. You're fired. And finally, another weird thing. We talk about two sports superstars. You know, we got Deion Sanders played baseball and football. Of course, Bo Jackson. We haven't had a basketball and baseball player ever, but Michael Taylor is giving a quick audition here. It's like, you know, that was a home run. I could have caught it, but how about this? How about an alley-oop dunk for the home run? Have you guys ever seen this? Two sports superstar Michael Taylor. Boom, slam dunk, home run. Only worth 1 point, though, 1 run. And that's the
ball
weird
came out?
wonderful from Kevin Wilds, the national pastime. Yeah,
Hey, guys.
Best team in
Guys.
baseball. Royals,
Guys, this is
best team in
important.
baseball,
Right
Jenna.
Danny Ainge.
Yeah, go ahead.
Danny Ainge played two sports. Dos sports.
Neither
Danny Ainge,
well.
That's actually
baseball
true.
and basketball.
Zero
you want to
sports
take your
well.
Bo Jacksons and your
Neither
Deons? Danny Ainge, my friend. So let that sink in
true.
and marinate for
That's
a little
great.
bit. Boom, successful in both.
So did I,
Wildly
Jenna.
Successful. Draft
Not good at
night's
either.
here. Biggest mystery tonight. Hey, I think he won a championship, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 2. Biggest mystery tonight, Niners. Plans at 3. What are they going to do? They finally made a decision on who they're taking, or have they? We'll have that next for you. First things first.
Let's go.
Talking about the draft tonight on the NFL Network, and things will get interesting with pick number 3. Adam Schefter reporting the Niners have come to a consensus. Remember, they moved up from 12 to 3 last month, likely targeting one of the top quarterbacks. Fox Bet Sportsbook has Mac Jones as the favorite to go to San Fran, followed by Trey Lance and then Justin Fields. Brandon Marshall, who will the 49ers ultimately select at number 3? Because your Jets pretty much set,
right,
it seems, at Zach Wilson at number 2. But at number 3, what do you think Niners are going to do?
Is it for sure, Jenna, the Jets are going with Zach? Is it certain?
Yes. Yes. That's why we're talking Niners.
Pretty much representing them today.
Yeah, it's for sure.
You're pretty much representing the organization today. I feel like you would know.
Jeez. Listen, look, those guys get paid to recruit, to scout, do all that stuff. So I'm going to believe in whoever they go with tonight. Looks like it's Zach Wilson, so I concede there. All year we've been talking about 2 guys. We've been talking about Justin Fields. We've been talking about Trevor Lawrence. Zach Wilson also, came onto the scene in a big way the last couple months. Definitely after his pro day, seeing him spin it the way he spun it. Trey Lance is a guy, right? Obviously, Mac Jones, the big 5. And there's even a couple more guys deeper in the draft. But I just can't see them going with Mac Jones. I believe in this guy. I think he's going to have an amazing career if he gets in the right situation. I don't know why people are knocking him, because he was surrounded by talent on the field. He was surrounded by phenomenal talent when you talk about the coaching staff. Like, isn't that what you want for all of your players, is for them to have the pieces and the people around them to get the job done? So when I look at Coach Shanahan's offense, Kyle Shanahan, Trey Lance, Justin Fields pop out, but it seems like Justin Fields is sliding, so Trey Lance is the guy. Like, Mac Jones, great, but that offense, we're talking about keeper left, keeper right. What is that? You stretch. They like to run 8. They like to run 9-hole plays, and then they pull it, and the quarterback gets outside the pocket. This dude has the skill set to not only run the offense that you have now, but take it to a whole nother level. This dude can stay in the pocket and throw. He can process. That's one of the things that jumps out when you sit down with this kid, is his ability to pick up offense right away. You don't have to just talk about his offense and what he's used to. Talk about football, period. This dude loves football. He knows football. And then to take that with the ability to throw the ball, the ability to run, the ability to get up after a big hit. This dude fits the Shanahan offense well. I was in it for 4 years, and then I came back to it a couple years later with Jay Cutler in Chicago. We brought in Jeremy Bates, who was our offensive coordinator, led us to be the number 2 offense in the National Football League. I just see Trey Lance fitting this offense perfectly, Nick. I believe that's the guy they're going to go with.
So I think that's the guy they should go with. I think there is a great argument to be made that there is a model out there that shows you exactly what the Niners should do, because it's what the Chiefs did 5 years ago. The Chiefs were 12-4 with a bye. And they lost in the playoffs because they used to always lose in the playoffs. And the very next year, they traded their first-round pick plus a 1 and a 3 for a super high upside, very raw quarterback. And they said, we are not trading our starter, Alex Smith. We are keeping him. And this guy is going to sit on the bench and learn, and we're going to try to compete for a championship. And by the way, they won the division again. They made the playoffs again. Yeah. They, of course, lost early again. And then they traded Alex Smith. Then Mahomes took over. So I think that is the right path for the Niners. Draft Trey Lance. Hold on to Jimmy for 1 more year unless Trey just totally wows you in the offseason. And try to compete this season. And then move forward with Trey Lance after you trade Jimmy a year from now. But that's what I think they should do. Wilds. In researching the draft, something, I shouldn't say occurred to me, became evident to me. Every year Lynch and Shannon have been together, the media has known who they're picking. They do a terrible job keeping it a secret. I went back and looked. Their first draft together. Wow. Everyone said the Niners are taking Solomon Thomas. They ended up trading back a pick, still got Solomon Thomas. The second draft together, the entire book was Guys, it's obviously going to be the tackle, McGlinchey. McGlinchey, if he, whatever the best tackle, you know what, to be fair, it didn't say McGlinchey, said the best tackle. Whatever the best tackle on their board is, that's where they're going. They ended up taking McGlinchey. The next draft was pretty obvious. It was Nicky Bosa, but it was, everyone knew. It was like this year's draft, where 1 and 2, the picks were in. It was Kyler, Bosa, picks were in. And last year, after they traded away Buckner, everyone said they're going to take their number 1 D tackle. It was Kinlaw. So the moment they made this trade, the folks that know things said Mac Jones. So I think that's what they're going to do. And I think John Lynch showed his hand a bit when he was like, hey, Kyle's pick. It's Kyle's pick. We trust Kyle, which to me said there was maybe a little divergence of opinion. So I agree with Brandon as far as why they should take Trey Lance. But the Niners haven't historically been great poker players. And I think they showed their hand, and I think they're taking Mac Jones.
All right, Nick, I want to stay here because I'm going to ask you a question. And they kicked this around on Good Morning Football, which audience is a good show to DVR. You can watch us live and then DVR Good Morning Football after watching us. Just an easy recommendation. And, they were kicking around the idea that comparing, and I'll add my own sauce to it, when you look at Mac Jones and you compare him to Trey Lance and you compare him to Zach Wilson, there's not a huge gap. You know, people can have differences of opinions. But when you're making this pick, Nick, should you actually be comparing it to other quarterbacks in the NFC West? When you're like, can this guy compete with Kyler? Can this guy compete with Russ? Because that's who we're really going against. And you just did it with the Patriots. It's like Tua and Josh Allen and Zach Wilson. I was like, all right, yeah, Jimmy G fits right in. But when you compare, when you put Mac Jones against Kyler, or you put Mac Jones against Russ, I think the pick looks much less safe. And when you look at it through that lens, then I think the pick is Trey Lance.
Well, it would be a great sleight of hand by the Niners if that's the case. And I'll be honest, Brandon, I hope I'm wrong, because I think it will be very fascinating if they don't take Mac Jones to see how far he slides. We've talked about this Justin Fields slide, but the only team that has been directly associated in love with Mac Jones, allegedly, is the Niners. So if they pass on him, how far down the board does he go? And that's the other reason, Brandon, why I think Mac Jones, even though I think he will be the pick, I think it will be a gutsy pick, because all the other quarterbacks, if you were to do like a compilation of all the big boards, whether it's Daniel Jeremiah, Joel Klatt, whomever, the guy who is consistently the most likely to be outside of the top 15 players in the draft is Mac Jones. And so it would be a reach by most people's standards. Exactly right, Jenna. I agree with all that.
Right.
So,
but what are you doing?
The signaling seems to be
he gave up so much capital to get to 3. Exactly.
That's what which is why in the beginning, Brandon, I thought it was a smoke screen. Yeah. But at this point, eventually the smoke becomes real enough. It's not a smoke screen, it's a fire. And so I think that the smoke is a signal of something here.
It's hard to see that happening. You know, I believe in Mac Jones. He's going to be successful in the right situation. People want to knock him for the wrong reasons. He had so much talent around him. When I look at that offense and being in that offense, Coach Shanahan's offense, you need a guy who has a big arm. Mac Jones, he can throw it deep. He's accurate. But we're talking about big arms. Think about Kyle Shanahan, okay, when he was in Houston. And what did you see Andre Johnson doing? That was Mr. 1,500. What does that mean? He had 1,500 yards a year. He was averaging 18 yards a catch. They were running big over routes. They were running big posts. Think about when he got to Atlanta. You had Julio Jones and you had Roddy White. I remember watching, Sunday Night Football or whatever it was, playing against the Seattle Seahawks, and it was just bombs away. And then let's fast forward to the Super Bowl, and the game is on the line. What play did they go to? They ran a post. They had Emmanuel Sanders out there. They ran a big post, a 7-step drop, and it was just off just slightly. And you see John Lynch and get on the sideline in his suit just like, we were so close to winning it. They need a guy that can move, and they need a guy that has a big arm. Now, 70% of their offense, West Coast offense, they're throwing throwing slants. They're throwing little option routes. But when you get that run game going, now everything opens up. And that is what we saw Baker Mayfield do last year. He was wheeling and dealing. You know, we're talking about, you know, first, second, third down, third and manageable, third and short. But when that run game was going, what did we see? Odell Beckham Jr., here we go. And that's what Trey Lance presents, and that's what he brings to the 49ers. So that's why I believe that's going to be the right pick for them tonight.
All right, we will find out. NFL draft set for 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. All right, let's take a turn, talk some NBA medals. The Suns won again last night. Chris Paul was great again last night, 28-10, but CP3 just missing out on a medal from Nick. Nick, who did make your podium stand today?
I desperately wanted to include Chris Paul. He was spectacular, also great in the handshake line when he snubbed Paul George. Unfortunately, 3 people were better. Jaylen Brown 2 nights ago had 39. Didn't make the medal stand because they lost the game. Tonight he had 38. Technically, he actually had 35 because if you saw that first highlight, he accidentally banked in a 3 from the top of the key. Those 3 points don't count. But aside from that, he was spectacular. 38 points, bronze medal for Jaylen Brown. Tatum, his teammate, had 35. Russell Westbrook had the most rebounds and the most assists of any player in the entire NBA last night. He played the Lakers. We'll get to the Lakers in a moment. Terrible performance by them. Russ gets a silver medal, averaging a triple-double once again for the Red Hot Wizards. And gold medal, Nikola Jokic, 32 points. But most importantly, the game-saving hack of Zion Williamson. But no call, so all good. Jokic saves the game with a defensive play, probably locks up the MVP. Look at this. Whack you in the head, Zion. Blammo, as Wilds would say. That saved the game after a terrible turnover. 32-7-8 as the Nuggets get an important win.
Run that play back. He didn't touch his head. Run it back, and what you'll see is Nikola Jokic's doughy forearm hitting Zion Williamson in his head. That's what you would have seen, but he gets a gold medal. A lot of slander today for the guys I gave medals to. I kind of crushed everyone who got medals. Go ahead, Jenna. Sorry.
Yeah, you totally did. Wilds, who just missed the cut? Don't crush anyone.
Oh, Brandon Goodwin with a new defensive play here. Gets a travel called on Seth Curry. Even though he jumped over him, almost like a defensive Vince Carter move right here. Great job. You know, the Hawks ended up losing by 44. But thanks to Brandon Goodwin's great play, they could have lost by 46. So great job, Brandon.
That ref should be fine. That ref should get in trouble. Oh, no.
Nick alluded to it. No. Bad loss for the Lakers last night. Is it now time for them to start playing desperate?
He's hurt
again. Is it time for Nick to start worrying? I got so many questions.
Is he laying there?
What's next? First things first.
Did he lay down? That's what I'm talking about, Nick.
First things first, back talking Lakers now with our guy Chris Broussard. So, Lakers lost again last night. They fell to Russ and the Wizards. They're now 1-3 with Anthony Davis back in the lineup, sitting in 5th place out west. It's not great. AD says this is the time to get desperate. Take a listen.
Desperate situation. We control our own destiny. And so we have to start playing with a sense of desperation, even though we are in the playoffs as of right now, but we're not that far off from being in playing games. So we got to play with a sense of desperation as well.
AD's right. Look at this. Look where the Lakers are. Look where that playing zone is. They are awfully close. So, Chris Broussard, what do you make of AD saying the Lakers have to, quote, start playing with a sense of desperation?
One problem with what he said. AD should have exchanged the word we for I. AD is the one that's not balling. They were 7-6 in the 13 games before AD returned, including a victory over Utah. They're 1-3 since AD's been back. And his numbers, 16 points, 39% shooting, 19% from 3, and the most damning stat, 5 rebounds a game since he's been back. Now, I get some of those numbers may be a bit skewed because his first game against Dallas didn't play as much and didn't have good numbers. But he hasn't been very good over these past 3 games. It's as simple as that.
Nope.
In the 4 games he's been back, of the 97 players in the NBA who have played 100 or more minutes in those 4 games, AD is 5th worst in the league in plus minus. He's minus 37. All right, he is not getting it done. It's as simple as that. And some of it, he's adjusting to playing with Andre Drummond, and AD has been on the perimeter way too much. I get that that's a part of his game, but he ain't Kevin Durant. He's not even Joel Embiid on the perimeter. Okay, he needs to have a mix of getting some stuff in the lane. Look at last night. Don't be fooled by the 26 points. He really didn't play very well. But he had a good run in the 4th quarter, had 14 points, and guess what? He was playing center while Andre Drummond was on the bench. So that's something the Lakers are going to have to look at, how much they can play AD and Drummond together. That's going to be interesting. But the fact of the matter is this. AD was not very good, or he wasn't a superstar playing like one before he got injured. And since he's been back, he hasn't even looked like a star. They cannot win it if AD is subpar. He's got to bring desperation and urgency.
Yeah, sometimes as a player, we don't face reality. Like I talked about this last week as far as the Nets and what they were dealing with. Like, you just move on to the next thing. Guy goes down, next man up mentality. We hear that in football a lot, but we get blinded sometimes with reality. Sometimes you're just not a good team. And the reality is the Lakers aren't a good team. Now, LeBron James comes back and he's healthy and he gets back to where he was. They're right where they need to be with AD playing better. We need the AD from the bubble. That's what this team needs. So as far as desperation, no, you don't need to be desperate. You just need to play better. You need LeBron James back. This is a really good team. Really good defensively. They have shooters. You have LeBron James, who is the best player on the planet. Not the most dominant player on the planet anymore, but he's the best player on the planet. So when you think about AD, I don't know what the heck is going on with him, but he needs to get tougher. He needs to go attack and take over. Even last night, Nick, he get hit in the eye. He falls down. He's laying there, and it seemed like they was about to bring out a stretcher. It's like, come on, man, let's go. Let's get going.
You hate that. Brandon hates the NBA history of the dings, and I know. I love it. All right, so I'm listening to Brandon, and Brandon's been on that AD has not ascended to the level he needed to all years, to his credit. And then AD got hurt, now he's back, and he's worse than he was before. And so that's been a topic of Brandon's all year. And I'm listening to Broussard. Broussard, let me just ask you a question. If you take LeBron and Anthony Davis off the Lakers roster, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, do they have a top 50 player? Like, who's the next best player on the team? Is it Kuzma? Is it KCP?
No,
is Schroeder, I guess, probably?
Schroeder's
probably the best.
Yeah, that notch below all-star. Yeah. He's that notch below
so they got one. They got one top 50 guy, but they don't have another all-star. They wouldn't have an all-star.
Right.
So then you put AD on the team, and we're saying, and AD is playing this season statistically the worst year of his career since his rookie season. Man, oh man, it sure sounds to me like either one of two things are true. Either the Lakers are totally screwed, or if this ragtag group of guys can be brought together just by a 36-year-old man in his 18th season, and they somehow show up in the finals, and God forbid in those finals they beat the unbeatable supernova that is the Brooklyn Nets, we're really, really going to have to start evaluating how we as a collective do talk about the guy who's not playing right now, LeBron James, because Wilds, I don't know if you're hearing what I'm hearing, but what I'm hearing is the Lakers aren't that good. What do you mean, stop it? What I'm hearing is the Lakers are not that good. Anthony Davis, who is supposed to be, but one of them's there.
Take
Anthony
the
Davis
best
is
two
there.
players off
and you
any
just
team,
said,
and they're not very good.
Okay, but
take Devin Booker and Chris Paul
missing
off Phoenix and see how good they are.
Right. Hold on.
Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert off Utah.
Anthony Davis is there. Anthony Davis is there, though. You just said he's the guy that needs to be better. So I'm just saying that it would appear, Wilds, that one of two things are true. Either the Lakers are abjectly screwed, or they are still the Western Conference favorites, because even in year 18, 36-year-old LeBron's going to come in and save the day. We can see where everyone's money's at. I think people know where mine's at, Wilds.
Yes.
They're screwed.
Of course. And I'm agreeing with you, and it pains me to the deepest parts of my heart.
Really?
Because, Brandon, you know how you said before you did press conferences, the PR person would pull you aside and be like, hey, they'll probably ask you this.
Right.
And I think that's what happened in this post game. Because he's like, hey, they're probably going to ask you how you play. He's like, what are you going to say? He's like, well, I'm going to say we'll be totally fine when LeBron comes back. Like, ugh, no, don't say that, because it feels like, we're not taking the game seriously. Maybe you go with, like, we got to play with more desperation. Like, okay, I'll go with that one. Give me a break. When LeBron's back, everything will be fine. It's silly to even talk about it. Guess what? You know what? On the set of Top Gun 2, when Tom Cruise gets the cold and can't do the scenes, and Goose has to carry the entire thing, Goose is not like, I got to step up, man. This movie doesn't work without Goose. Like, Goose, you're a Goose, man. Wait till Tom Cruise is back. The whole thing will work. Spending a lot of energy talking about how Anthony Davis needs to play better.
Broussard seems skeptical.
Back, everything's fine. I know one can't say it.
I don't know.
Broussard, you seem skeptical.
Are you, Broussard?
LeBron is, I agree with Brandon. I don't know what his best, most dominant diversion. I don't get all that. But LeBron's still the best player in the world until otherwise notified, all right? But
that's right.
Let's see what LeBron comes back. Last time he came back from injury, it didn't go well. And LeBron was talking about playoff mode. And they went 8-13 in those 21 games. He came back after the groin injury. So LeBron has got to be right. LeBron's got to be right when he comes back.
Not right.
If he is, then he's got to be his best.
No, I'm not right. LeBron James.
I did not say this was a bad
Chris,
team.
I'm with you.
Nick and Brandon said that without LeBron. They were 7-6 without AD and LeBron in 13 games.
LeBron James needs to come back not only healthy, but we need to see the best version of LeBron James ever with AD playing this way. So that's why they don't have a chance, Wilds.
Right. No, listen, I think it's either one of these two things.
They got a chance.
I really think it's either one of these two things. Either the Lakers are totally screwed, or LeBron at the end of the year, even Broussard's going to say, has passed Jordan. Because how are you gonna carry this group of bums? Like, that's what I heard. It's what I heard. It's just what I heard.
I've never said they're bums. Brandon said they were a bad team. You brought up your little strange thing about who's the top 50 player. I think the Lakers got good role players and two stars.
Don't forget about Top Gun. Oh, Broussard, always fun when you're here. Thank you so much. We got to get back to tonight's draft.
Nick's trying to set
That's
all this is.
Chance to challenge Trevor Lawrence as the best quarterback. We're back after this.
You ain't slick, man.
It is going to be a busy draft night tonight for Bill Belichick. Rumors out of Foxborough yesterday. Two big ones. The first, Patriots and Jimmy Garoppolo are working on a new deal that could facilitate a trade with the 49ers. Wilds has been banging the drum for that, yes. Then there's also this little doozy that the Patriots have reportedly had talks with the Falcons about the fourth pick with their eyes on Justin Fields. Wilds, Pat's got options. Your Photoshop team, hard at work, I'm sure. They can't make them fast enough. We got former All-Pro Brian Westbrook joining us right now. Break it all down. Brian, good morning. Tell me, what's a better option for these Patriots? Trading for Jimmy G or drafting Justin Fields?
Good morning, Jenna. And for me, I'm always going to go with the upside. And I think Justin Fields has a much higher upside than Jimmy G. You know, when I think about Justin Fields, I think about his accuracy, I think about his arm strength, and his ability to limit his turnovers. And that's exactly the type of quarterback that the Patriots need. You know, one thing I couldn't get over if I'm the Patriots, that Kyle Shanahan went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy G just a couple years ago, and now he's willing to get rid of him to bring in an unproven rookie and say that he's going to be our guy. To me, that would be a big question mark as far as Jimmy G's upside. The second thing is the relationship with Cam. And I know we have a video here. We can play that real quick. Justin Fields already has a relationship with Cam. This goes back to their 7-on-7 camp about 3 years ago.
Well, look,
the coaches.
Oh, it's fast clip.
The coaches.
Hey, listen, man. It's Cam Newton here. Hey, best player in high school football right here. If you're a high school player and you watching this, you know it's the truth. If you doggone a recruiter for anything, this the best thing any recruitment can get you right here.
Said from former 5-star himself.
I'm Cam Newton and I approve this message.
Right, so you see that there is a relationship there already with Cam. Cam is going to have to nurture this young man, show him how to be professional. Yeah, exactly. Maybe a little bit different, but Cam he's a mature. He's ready to help a young guy come into the league. And last but not least, you got to remember the quarterbacks that Jimmy G or Justin Fields is going to have to face. In your own division, you have Josh Allen, Zach Wilson, and Tua. And then you look in that conference, you got to face Mahomes and Watson as well. To me, if I'm going to face that list of quarterbacks, I want to go into the game with the guy with a much higher potential, and I think that's Justin Fields.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's Justin Fields. I just don't know who Jimmy Garoppolo is, right? Like, playing in New England, there was a couple games. What was it, two and a half games he played? He played lights out. He held it down until Tom Brady came back. Obviously, Jacoby Brissett came in, and he played a game or two, and he also held it down as well. And then you go to the 49ers. You go in late. You win 6 in a row. Then you lead your team to the Super Bowl. But that year was weird because even when he was healthy, remember we were talking about why are they only letting him throw it 12 times, 15 times, 19 times? Like, those are some interesting numbers. You're talking about a guy who was highly regarded, highly sought after, and you're not letting him deal. So there's a lot of question marks around Jimmy G outside of his health history and his injury history. So Justin Fields is the guy. Like, there's a few things we need to look at, Nick, when we're talking about the quarterback. Can he process? Like, that's the number one thing. I don't care how well you throw the ball, how big you are, how fast you are. If you can't go out there and say, 52's the mic, this is a potential threat, set the protection, make sure your receiver's +2 on the split, check here, and then before the snap, you say, okay, here's where I'm going. This is my pre-snap read. Drop back, and within a split second, knowing that, okay, my pre-snap read was right, so I'm going here. I'm working high to low, or it was wrong, now I'm going here. If you can't do that, you can't play in the National Football League. This is not college football where guys drop back and they read one side of the field. Oh, it's quarters. I'm just going to throw it right to this guy. The coach is telling you where to go. You got to have leadership. He has that. You have to have the arm, and you also have to have the work ethic. And Justin Fields check all those boxes.
So I agree with all of that, and I also would, in a vacuum, rather have Justin Fields than Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not even close. But this is really a question of cost. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo right now would cost the Patriots probably their second-round pick. Justin Fields would cost the Patriots the 15th pick, plus whatever else they have to trade up to move up to get him, because I do not believe he's going to slide all the way to 15. Now, Wild, you're probably going to laugh at me here. I feel like I can debunk the Patriots talked about trading up to number 4 report just with logic. Let me tell you how that went. The Patriots, I believe, have called Carolina and figured out exactly what it would cost to move up to 8. And Belichick, because he's smart, he's like, all right, if that's what it's going to cost to move up to 8, somebody call Atlanta and just see if they're dopes and see if we can give them exactly that for 4. Okay, they said no. All right, that's fine. We know what it is. Because they are not going to outlay the draft capital. If it cost 2 additional first-round picks to go from 12 to 3, then it would cost probably 2 additional first-round picks to go from 15 to 4. I don't see them doing that. But as soon as Justin Fields, if he slides past Detroit, then I do think it's a real question. And as a Patriots fan, I ask you, would you rather have Justin Fields, or would you rather have Jimmy Garoppolo and whichever player you're going to pick at 15, Surtain, the corner, or if you like the third best wide receiver, whomever it would be. You don't know who's going to be there. Which to you would be a better value proposition for your team? I would go Fields if that's what we're talking about.
Okay, I would take the latter. I would take Jimmy G and whoever we keep at 15. And here's why. And I think there is a fundamental misunderstanding of the emotional energy of Bill Belichick, the Kraft family, and Patriots fans around God's green earth. And here's what it is. We had a losing season. We don't lose. We need to fix it immediately. And the perfect immediate fix is Jimmy G, who knows the system and can come in and win games. And I know everyone on the panel is always level-headed and has an absolute perfect relationship with their spouse. But here's the story I would tell. If you had a bad whole year with your spouse where you went 7-9 with your spouse and he said, honey, you know what? I fixed it. And she said, how? I got us $10,000 worth of Google stock. Like, you did? Oh, that's good. It's a great investment. It's going to pay off fantastically. In the future, the ceiling is so high, we're going to be set. In 5 years, who knows where it will be? Like, oh, that's great. Or you know what you do? You go on vacation. You take a great trip to the Bahamas, and that's what fixes it. That's where the Patriots are right now. We need to fix it immediately. I don't care about Google stock in 10 years. That's what Justin Fields is. We need to fix it right now, and that's Jimmy G, Jenna.
Kevin, I think this is what you got to remember. The Patriots were 7-9 last year. Cam battled COVID. A bunch of players opted out because of the COVID situation. They'll have a much better defense next year. If they can get some upside from Justin Fields, to me, I don't think that this is a terrible football team. And, of course, Josh Allen had one of the best years of his career. I mean, I think this team is a lot closer than a lot of people think. To me, you go for the upside.
Most physically talented quarterback ever. Just Josh Allen.
The glass is half full, according to Wilds and Brian Westbrook. Hey, speaking of the 49ers and what they are going to do up there at number 3, have they locked in on a decision yet? We'll break that down next. First things first. Back here, first things first. Stories to start your morning. Sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Guys, we made it. We're finally here. 2021 NFL Draft all set for tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network. Storylines aplenty going into this one. We got 5 quarterbacks expected to go early. You know the Jags and Jets appear set at 1 and 2, but after that, that's where it's going to be fun. That's where we can't wait to watch it all unfold. Brandon, let me start with you. And we'll keep it right here. Which team do you think is facing the most pressure tonight in round 1?
Oh, the team that we've been talking about for the past month and a half, and that's the San Francisco 49ers, or maybe just a month when they did what they did to move up to 3. The pressure's on them because they have a really good team. If you go back to last year, they lost most of their games within 3 or 4 points, and that's with Jimmy G banged up and bringing in Nick Mullins and the defensive guys being banged up. This is a really good team. It's well coached. There's stability in ownership. So Kyle Shanahan has to make the right decision. We keep talking about Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is going to be fine. But if you go with Mac Jones and he doesn't perform well, they're going to crush you. If you pass up on Justin Fields and then he goes to New England or somewhere else and he performs amazing, then they're going to crush you when your guy's not. So he has to get this right because this is a franchise-altering moment for them. And you also got to look at the landscape of that division. The Seattle Seahawks, they didn't get worse. I don't know if they got better and how much better they got, but they didn't get worse.
That's right.
The Arizona Cardinals got better. The Rams got better. So you need to stay right there in the pack because you could easily go from a team that could win this division to a team that is struggling mightily and now everything is blown up by the end of this year or in 2 years. So you got to look at the San Francisco 49ers, when you talk about who has the most pressure.
Okay, I would like to stay here with my friend Brandon Marshall. And Brandon, you like to plan ahead. You've planned your career out. Yep. You talked about when you were playing, you got on the Showtime show to sort of start planning your media career. And now you were talking about just recently, you were at House of Athlete, and you had plans to grow, maybe domestically, maybe internationally, and get some funds. I think you, being the planner that you are, have planned a take down that road. And the road is, I told you so. The take is, I told you so. I told you we shouldn't have gotten Zach Wilson. I knew it. I never liked Zach Wilson, guys. I told you. I was standing on the table for Justin Fields. And what else did I say? I said Trey Lance reminded me when I met my wife. I knew it. And oh, you know what is a sneaky one? A sneaky one that I think you've also planned for? This is a little one. If he starts playing well, I told you we should have never traded Sam Darnold. I knew it. So, Brandon, I think the Jets are under the most pressure because you've got a lot of I told you so waiting to pop up. And I know you're trying to convince yourself that you love Zach Wilson, but deep down, we know that you don't, buddy.
Listen, it's not planning, it's betting, it's gambling, right? Nick knows this. Like, I love rolling craps, and I always bet that the dice know for, but I also bet the dice will for. So I'm hedging my bet. That's what it is, Wiles. I'm just hedging my bet. That's all. That's all it is, Nick.
Hold on. Brandon, I adore you, but you and I need to, off the air, have some craps, blackjack, and poker lessons. Because you got too much money and too many rich friends to be letting them take advantage of your betting against yourselves in these situations.
That's it. Listen,
we got to talk about that's off the air. That's after the draft.
I'm putting 100 on Yo.
I get it. I got it. We do that off the air. So a couple things. There is massive pressure on the Niners, and for one reason Brandon didn't mention. If they screw this up, they can't fix it. Because they don't got to pick next year, and they don't got to pick the year after that. So they are fully pot committed to this. The Jets, on the other hand, got plenty of picks and plenty of experience screwing things up. It's like, Darnold was the wrong guy, but so was Sanchez, and so was the guy before, and so is it. If Zach's the wrong guy, our fans are used to this. Like, I don't know how much pressure there is on the Jets. The Jets are like a bad student expecting a report card. There's not pressure. There's just expectation of that parent's going to be mad. Like, I'm used to it at this point. So I think there's pressure on the student who, for their entire academic career, got straight A's. And then, maybe it was the pandemic. Maybe it was they were hanging out with the wrong crowd. Maybe it was their best friend left the school. But all of a sudden, they were a C&D student for 1 year. And that's the Patriots. The Patriots had everything rolling. They were the envy of the entire league. And then all of a sudden, you remove one domino, and the whole thing fell down. And they were sub 500. They missed the playoffs. They lose the division to the Bills. I got to listen to that now. The Josh Allen's the most talented quarterback in the history of the quarterbacks. It's a disaster for everyone involved. And the Patriots have pressure as well, Brandon, because, look at this guy. The Patriots have pressure as well because they don't have, they have so many options. They can go Jimmy G, they can go Justin Fields.
Matter, Nick.
They can stand pat with Cam. Why does it not matter?
It doesn't matter, Nick. It's all about the Jets tonight. Jets. It doesn't matter. We are about to change the history of the Jets. The trajectory of the Jets will be changed tonight. The NFL draft tonight at 8 p.m. on NFL Network. So many dreams are going to come to reality tonight. That's what's happening tonight. It doesn't matter.
Because your team's taking Zach Wilson.
All that negative energy are pushing it back
not Brandon's.
No, Jenna, no, we'll be fine. All this negative energy, please. Where's Kyrie? I need you to go to New Jersey, One Florham Park, and just sage everything. Sage the whole building. Sage the whole building. They're going to make the right decision, Jenna.
All right.
Sage it.
A lot of questions will be answered tonight. Brandon, I wish you all the best of luck. I say keep that on all day. I'm sure it'll smell great by tonight. Have fun watching the draft. Undisputed starts right now.